There is a type of person who goes through life like a silent river, carrying deep currents within them that no one sees. Have you ever noticed how some people just don't complain? While most people vent about the traffic, the boss, the relationship, or the bill that won't close, they just nod, smile and move on, as if frustration were an unwanted guest that doesn't even deserve a comment. At first glance, it may seem like resignation, conformism, or even a lack of personality. But is that all? Or could it be that, behind this apparent silence, there is a survival strategy so complex that even they themselves cannot explain it? Before you think I'm talking about saints or emotional robots, make one thing clear: there's nothing wrong with not complaining. It is not mandatory to express every inconvenience, every disappointment, every little injustice of the day. Some simply choose to keep their battles to themselves, and that doesn't make them any less human, just more selective about who they share their vulnerabilities with. But if we dig a little deeper, we'll discover that this habit is almost always born from old wounds, hard lessons, or wisdom that few people understand. Imagine a child who, every time he cried or complained, heard a "stop it," a "that's nothing," or worse, an icy silence that said more than words. Over time, she learns that expressing discomfort doesn't bring relief, it only brings more loneliness. The brain registers, if I don't say anything, at least I won't be ignored or judged. And so, silence becomes a shield. It's not that they don't feel the pain, it's that they learned to swallow it in homeopathic doses, so as not to suffocate. Other cases are even more subtle. Perhaps they grew up in environments where complaining was synonymous with weakness, or where other people's problems always seemed bigger than their own. There are people going hungry, and you're going to complain about your bad day? That voice echoes in their heads like a ghost, even decades later. But it is not just trauma that explains this behavior. Some people have simply developed a high tolerance for frustration, almost like a superpower. They understand, even if unconsciously, that complaining doesn't change reality, it just wastes energy. So, they prefer to focus on solutions or, when there is no solution, on accepting what cannot be changed. This doesn't mean they are cold, on the contrary, they are often the ones who feel the most, but choose to process everything internally, like a volcano that erupts only when no one is looking. There are also those who do complain, but only to themselves. They write in diaries, talk to the mirror, vent on the way home. For the world, they are a well of calm. Inside, they are controlled storms. The dangerous side of this chronic silence is that it sometimes hides a dangerous emotional detachment. When a person never complains about anything, not even things that clearly hurt them, it may be a sign that they have given up hoping for change. It's as if she made a pact with herself: if I don't expect anything from anyone, nothing will disappoint me. And then, what starts as self-protection can turn into isolation. After all, if you never say what bothers you, how will others know they need to change? How will bonds grow stronger if there is never room for healthy conflict? But here's the most fascinating part: this habit of not complaining can actually be a form of resistance. Think about it. In a world where everyone is screaming for attention, where social media is a festival of lamentations, and where even a long coffee becomes a reason to post "God, how I hate my life," choosing silence is an act of rebellion. These people often value peace, their own and that of others, too much to waste energy on things they consider trivial. They understand that complaining is easy, taking action is difficult. And, deep down, they may even think that the true test of character having is not how you deal with what irritates you, but how you deal with what irritates you without making a fuss. If you identify with this, no, you are not a robot, nor a martyr, nor someone who doesn't feel. You've just developed your own way of dealing with the world, and that has its strengths. Your ability to endure without getting angry can be a gift in chaotic environments. Your discretion can be a refuge for those tired of drama. And your patience can be the pillar that supports relationships in difficult times. But be careful not to confuse strength with denial. Sometimes complaining is necessary not as an empty vent, but as a sign that something needs to change. And you deserve to be heard. Perhaps the most beautiful lesson of all this silence is this: not every discomfort needs to become a scandal, but not every scandal should be swallowed in silence. Life is neither black nor white, it's made up of these shades of grey where we learn to choose our battles. And if your strategy is not to complain, let it be by conscious choice, not by fear. Because in the end, what we keep silent about today can become a scream tomorrow, and sometimes, the world needs to hear that scream to change. If this made sense to you, tell me in the comments, is there something you always swallow, but should you say? Share with those who also keep more than they should. And if you want more reflections like this, stay here, because we're going to talk a lot about these silences that speak louder than words. Until next time. And remember, sometimes, what is not said is precisely what needs to be heard most. The art of keeping secrets, and why some silences are worse than words. Have you ever noticed how some people have a smile that doesn't reach their eyes? Those who respond fine with an intonation so rehearsed that it sounds like a script, not the truth. While the world screams be authentic, they have mastered the art of hiding stormos behind a painted blue sky. But is this silence strength, or just the echo of something that was never said? We are not talking about lies. We are talking about those strategic silences, those that protect, those that avoid conflicts, those that hold truth so heavy that, if released, they could collapse bridges that took years to build. Sometimes, remaining silent is not cowardice, it's emotional survival. But here's the danger: what we swallow today could become a nodule tomorrow, and some nodules, when they finally emerge, are already tumors. The weight of the unsaid, when silence became a dangerous habit. There are 3 types of people who remain silent. 1. The protectors, those who absorb the pain of others so that no one else has to carry it. They are the ones who hear "I'm fine" from a depressed friend and choose to believe it, even though they know it's a lie. Your silence is a shield. The problem? Shields also imprison those behind them. 2. The survivors, those who learned, as children, that telling the truth was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Children who have been told "don't cry, it's nothing," or "hold those tears, otherwise you'll get more tears." As adults, they repeat the pattern. They swallow frogs until their stomachs become a swamp. Your body knows. The inexplicable headaches, the tension in the shoulders, the sleepless nights, the body says what the mouth shuts up. 3. The strategists, those who remain silent by calculation. It's not fear, it's tactics. They know that certain truths, if told, would shatter necessary illusions, like admitting to their mother that her marriage is toxic, or to their boss that the project is a failure. Your silence is a game of chess. But here's the trap: when we play too much, we forget which piece we really are. The paradox of silence: protection or prison? Here's the uncomfortable truth: silence is only powerful when it's a choice. When it is imposed, it is a cage. The silence that protects is the one you adopt after weighing the words, like a gardener who only pruned the galls. Sick hose for the tree to blossom. The silence that imprisons is the one you swallow because someone, at some point, taught you that your voice didn't deserve space. And the worst? We get used to the taste of silence. It has become a habit not to complain about a bad restaurant, not to correct a friend who is always late, not to tell your partner that that joke hurts. We normalize discomfort until it becomes invisible. Until one day, the body screams what the mouth never dared: an anxiety attack, a pain in the back, a cry in the bathroom at work. The day the silence breaks, when the body speaks for you. You know that moment when a tear escapes without permission? Or when, out of nowhere, you explode over something stupid, not because the nonsense mattered, but because it was the straw that broke the camel's back from a cup that had already been full for years. This is not weakness. It's basic physics. Every container has a limit. Every body has a breaking point. Every silence has an expiration date. Unspoken words become stones in the stomach. Swallowed feelings turn into knots in the throat. Buried truths sprout like weeds in the garden of the mind. And when they finally emerge, it's often too late. The friend you never confronted continues to hurt you, the relationship you didn't save is over, the opportunity you didn't seize is gone. How to break the spell of silence, without yelling. I'm not telling you to spill all your truths at once, that would be trading a cage for a fire. I'm talking about measuring your courage. 1. Start small. If you're afraid of confronting your boss, practice with the waiter who brought your wrong order. If you can't talk to your father, write a letter that you won't send. The voice is a muscle. Train her. 2. Use I instead of you. Crossmark "you never listened to me" sounds like an attack. White heavy checkmark "I feel ignored" when, Sounds like an invitation for a conversation. 3. Choose the moment, not the explosion. A silence of years does not need to be broken in a scream. Sometimes a calm sentence at the right time has more power than a sermon. 4. Allow yourself to be imperfect. You're going to stutter. You're going to cry. You will say things that will sound confusing. All good. The important thing is to break the cycle of never said. The final lesson: not all silence is golden. Some are rust. There are silences that are holy, those that keep other people's secrets, those that respect other people's time, those that let the mystery flourish. But there are silences that are tombs, where we bury parts of ourselves in the hope that no one will notice. If you are reading this and feel a lump in your throat, ask yourself, what did I fail to say that still haunts me? Who did I lie to when I said okay? What bridges could I have built if I had had the courage to speak? Life is not just made up of the words we say. It is also made of those that we keep silent about. And some of them, my friend, need to be freed before they become ghosts. Now tell me, small blue diamond, is there anything you've always swallowed, but you know you should have said? Small blue diamond, or have you ever experienced that moment when silence broke out in a way you didn't plan? Share this text with anyone who needs to hear that not every weight needs to be carried alone. And if you want more reflections like this, stay here, because we're going to talk a lot about these truths that we hide even from ourselves. Until next time. And remember, the words you don't say today can become the scars of tomorrow. Speech balloon sparkles. Continuation of the text, expansion with engagement techniques. The words you don't say today may become the scars of tomorrow. This phrase is not a warning, it is a mirror. Because silence, when it becomes chronic, is not empty. It is an archive of everything that we did not have the courage to release. And files, my friend, take up space. They weigh on your back like invisible backpacks, full of never-sent letters. Choked muffles, I love you that turned to dust in the throat. Think about it. How many times have you shut up something small that, over time, turned into a monster? A no that wasn't said and turned into resentment. Or I need help that was prescribed and became loneliness. A hurt me that festered in mute rage. Silence is not neutral, it is fertile soil for what we don't want to harvest. And here comes the question that hurts. What are you cultivating in your silence? A garden of peace, because some things really don't need to be said. Or a swamp of regrets, because the fear of speaking was greater than the need to be free. The silence that protects versus the silence that imprisons. There are silences that are shields. Those you choose to. Heavy checkmark, preserve your energy. Not every battle deserves your voice. Heavy checkmark, honor your time. Sometimes the right response is silence until you're ready. Heavy checkmark, let the other grow. Shut up so someone can find their own words. But there are silences that are cages. Those you carry because. Heavy multiplication sign, he thinks he doesn't deserve to be heard, and then he keeps silent even on things that matter. Heavy multiplication sign, afraid of breaking the illusion, and would rather live a comfortable lie than face an uncomfortable truth. Heavy multiplication sign, waited for the other person to guess, as if love or respect were telepathy. Which of the two have you been feeding? The day silence breaks, and it won't be pretty. Have you ever seen those movie scenes where the character, after years of silence, explodes into a scream, a cry, an uncontrolled confession? So it is. Life is not cinema, but psychology is the same. The body cannot bear to hold eternally what the soul cannot bear. One day, silence leaks. In the form of an anxiety attack, the body screams what the mouth didn't say. Of an unexpected breakup, why haven't you said that before? Or worse, from an illness, yes, studies show that repressing emotions weakens the immune system. What are you willing to pay for your silence? 3 things you need to know before being shut up again. 1. Not all silence is wisdom, sometimes it's just fear. Ask yourself, if I weren't afraid of the consequences, would I speak up? If the answer is yes, it's time to rethink. 2. People are not fortune tellers, and it's not fair to demand that they be. Expecting someone to know what you feel without you saying it is like planting a seed and complaining that it didn't rain. Communication is watering. Without it, nothing grows. 3. Speaking is not a guarantee that everything will be resolved, But remaining silent is a guarantee that nothing will be. Yes, there are risks in exposing yourself. But the biggest risk is reaching the end of your life and realizing that you lived an edited version of yourself, with all the important scenes cut out. What to do with all this? I'm not telling you to spout your truths without a filter, that's also violence. I'm talking about white heavy checkmark, choose your battles, but don't abandon the war for your inner peace. White heavy checkmark, talking with strategy, it's not about unloading, it's about releasing what needs to be free. White heavy checkmark, understand that some words are for yourself. Sometimes what needs to be said is an internal dialogue. I deserve it, I can, I forgive. Try this today. 1. Write down, on paper, on your cell phone, wherever, that thing you never said. You don't need to show it to anyone. Just let go. 2. Ask yourself, if I die tomorrow, will I regret keeping this quiet? If the answer is yes, think again. 3. Take one small step, send a text, make a call, whisper in the mirror. The silence breaks into crumbs, not all at once. What if you still can't speak? All good. Sometimes courage takes time. But know one thing. What you keep silent about today could be the story someone needs to hear tomorrow. What you keep could be the key to your own freedom. And what you think is weakness, the fear of speaking, may just be the part of you that hasn't felt safe enough yet. You to be heard. So, while the courage isn't enough, do this. Don't judge yourself. Silence is also part of the process. Don't let it become an identity. You're not the one who shuts up, you're the one who hasn't found the right words yet. Remember, even the strongest storms begin with a whisper. Now tell me, because this isn't just about you. Small blue diamond, is there anything you swallowed for years and now regret? Small blue diamond, or have you ever experienced that moment when silence exploded in a way you didn't plan, and, in the end, it was liberating? Small blue diamond, what would you say to someone who is scared to talk, but knows they need to? Leave it in the comments. Because sometimes, reading that we are not alone is the first step to releasing our voice. And if this text touched something in you, share it. Not for me, but for that friend who is carrying a silence that is too heavy for just one person. Until next time. And remember, the words you don't say today could become the scars of tomorrow, but the ones you say can become the wings. Dove #sparkles. Why does this text work? Emotional engagement, alternation between pain, scars of tomorrow, and hope, they can become wings. Subtle calls to action, invites reflection without pressure, try this today. Constant validation, it's okay if you can't do it, you're not the one who shuts up. Powerful metaphors, silence as archive, swamp, cage, invisible backpack. Questions that generate identification, what are you cultivating in your silence? Tip to apply. Use this structure for themes like: why do we hold grudges for things we no longer remember? What happens when you stop pretending that everything's fine? Why are some people afraid of being happy? The secret. Speak to the reader's pain, but always point out a way out. Even if it's a sliver of light. Electric light bulb.